Hello. In the last video, we understood how many types of incremental loads, what are the ways to implement, which one we have used to implement our end-to-end data engineering use case, right? That concludes we are able to extract the data from source to our landing layer incrementally when required full loads, right? Now, in today's video, we are trying to understand the next phases of layers, bronze layer and silver layer and gold layer. In the bronze layer, especially to create a bronze layer, it's a part of medallion architecture, right? And to create the bronze layer, what we need? We need a Databricks. So in today's video, we'll try to understand how to provision Azure Databricks and what are the types of Databricks options we do have while provisioning the resource. We'll try to understand what is the modern way of provisioning the Azure Databricks, how we can utilize, how efficient way we can utilize the compute power in Databricks. Let's get started. I have logged into my Azure account and you can create Azure Databricks resource. Here I have one subscription and you can choose your resource group. As you know that we have created this resource group for our end-to-end data engineering use case, and you can name it your workspace, data engineer end-to-end use case. That's up to you how you want to name it. And then here there are a couple of pricing tiers. If you look at here, we have a standard tier and premium tier and trial premium, right? Very important point here is no more standard tier and going forward. They are decommissioning the standard tier in the 1st of October 2026. You will have only premium tier, okay? Then what is the benefit of premium tier? That we will explore in detail. Here we have a premium tier. I'm choosing here, since I have a pay-as-you-go Azure subscription, I will choose the premium tier here. And there are two more options here. If you look at here, workspace type, hybrid and serverless. If you look at this tooltip and require access to the compute and storage in the Azure account supports custom compute. This is how it is. It works in the hybrid. But whereas in the serverless, we are completely relying on the Databricks managed services. But here you can customize your own compute power. You can customize your services on your own style. But whereas in this case, the serverless, you don't need to manage anything. By default, the Databricks takes care of all these things. If you look at here, if I choose the hybrid, what is asking? The managed resource group name. You have to specify the managed resource group name. When you specify this, you will have the control of the networking. You will have the control of your server. See, this is what it is going to happen when you have this managed resource group. But if you have a serverless, the backend systems, the Databricks as well as the Azure, the backend system takes care of behalf of you. They will work for you, but you won't have the full control, the customization options. That's only the difference between these two workspaces. When you have a serverless, they will take care. When you have a hybrid, you can customize your storage, you can customize your networking as well. Understood? Now, let's move on. I'm not enabling anything here. Just I am not even touching any part of the configuration. Just simply I'm moving on. And if you look at here, you have managed services, use your own key and manage disk, and I don't have anything. Just simply I'm moving on. That's it. Just try to validate. It's validating and create. That's all. It will take a while. I will pause my video here. Well, our resource successfully deployed, and we can go to our resources. Here is the resource. If you look at here, it's a serverless. We don't have any managed resource group or anything. And directly this, if you look at this Databricks, just click on this one, the URL, it will automatically, this will going to launch. You can launch your Databricks. You can try with your Entra ID. Here we go. Welcome to Azure Databricks. If you expand here, how many resource group workspaces you have, how many users you have. I have only one user because I have created this workspace. And now let's move on to the compute side. Do we have any compute here? See, we don't have any computes, and we have different types of options here, the which compute you can use. In our case, in compute side, in our case, we'll try to understand what are types of computes we have, which compute is most optimal and feasible solution for our end-to-end data engineering use case. Here, SQL warehouse. If you click on here, see there are different options here. If you look at here, that the apps and Lego, the different options, we can see that, right? But what is the use of this one, SQL warehouse? Here, if I look at here, see this is only I meant for serverless, right? While we are provisioning this resource, it's a serverless. I don't want to customize anything. Okay, I don't want to customize anything. Azure Databricks should take care of all my backend resources. That's all. Because it's a use case just we are provisioning. Just now in serverless SQL, just I will Databricks serverless. This is what my name of the compute. Here we have a different options here. Small x. See, based on your size you have chosen, you will get the number of DB units, Databricks units per hour. That they are just see. This is how it is 4x largest. This is used for us, like you're choosing all this and make sure that have a right calculations while choosing the one of this compute size. For us, it's 2x small is pretty much sufficient because it's a 4 GBU. Okay, and automatically this will terminate if you are not using this inactivity. If inactivity is something that if you are not using anything, this automatically terminates. It's if you want to scale up minimum to maximum, you can give the number of cluster resources as well. Just we don't want anything, just 2x is sufficient, more than enough for our data. Okay, just click on create. This is how we are creating. See, just you can grant the access to the people, admins, and you can grant the access to the people. Okay, now this is how are we able to create a resource. Now our computer is ready. These are all the connection details. You can, this is the server name, host name, and also everything is ready now. The authentication, you can monitor the usage of this compute. And this is how it is. Basically, you have to provision your compute inside the Azure Databricks. Now, what is next? Now, if you look at here, with the help of this one, what I can do is, I'll go to my workspace. Just I will create a notebook. Just say print hello world. Print hello world. Let me execute this. Just I'm allowing. I'm able to display the messages. I'm able to execute the Python code here. You can change any code, SQL, Scala, and R. I'm able to execute this. Now, why do we provision this one? First of all, what exactly we are trying to derive here? What exactly we're trying to implement here? Why do we need this? Just we are creating the bronze layer, right? After the landing layer, just we want to create a bronze layer. Just to create but to till that land layer, we were using the Azure Data Factory. Now, after this Azure Data Factory, I would like to implement the bronze layer. Can we make a connection from the Data Factory to create that? Once it is landing layer is done, it is something that a cycle of activities, right? First, it completes the from source to landing, from the landing to the bronze layer. Since we are using the Azure Data Factory, what I can do is I can create a pipeline where once the landing layer is successfully completed, from there, just I would like to bring the data to my bronze layer. Since it's a medallion architecture, what we need a catalog. We need a catalog. The moment you provision this resource, you can see that there are a couple of by default catalogs has been created, right? That's fine. Exclusively, we'll talk about what is the catalog, why do we need a catalog, how the catalog is different from the high meta store in next video. Now, in today's video, we'll try to make a connection from here. It's a trial. I'm trying to make a communication from here from Data Factory to Databricks. We'll see what is the behavior of this one. I'm not using anything just for now. This is a try. That's why I'm not changing any names or anything. Just I'm trying to understand. I want to show you what is the issue. If you are trying to communicate from ADF to Databricks. Here there are different types of cluster options. New job cluster, interactive cluster, instance pool, like it's a reserved pool, and also serverless. Our case is serverless, right? Now we need an access token. Just let me go to my Databricks and settings and developer and then manage access token just for testing, okay? So access management and cluster. Okay, just I'm creating for all the APIs. We'll see. Just let me generate this. I'll take this and then go to my access token. Let me give a test. What is happening? Just look at it. Okay, the connection failed. Why? See, the Databricks link service should specify existing interactive cluster or instance pool or clusters information for creation. So this is what it is happening. But typically, I'm using serverless. The serverless is available. Okay, I'm here authenticating this workspace. I'm authenticating with the access token directly. But my expectation is it's supposed to work, but this is not working. If you look at here, I have my access key and also even I do have the serverless compute power. When I'm trying to authenticate from ADF, it's not allowing me. Why? That we will exclusively will discuss why this is not happening. Why this is not happening. I will show you one more interesting thing here. So now this notebook is failing, right? Let me take another scenario here. Okay, just let me remove this. I'll take job. And same way, we'll try to again serverless and action. Okay, access token authentication. Just try to test the connection here as well. Again failed, right? Let me create, even though it is failed. Just create. Okay, now go to settings. Now it is connection is failed, even though we have created. Now just go to settings. There are no jobs inside your Databricks, right? Let me go to the jobs and pipelines. Just create one job here for just for testing. I have created one job. It's a notebook. Okay. Create a notebook. Just select the task name is test demo. Notebook type and select that notebook path. We have created one notebook. Only one notebook we created. Just a print statement. Just I'm confirming this. I'm not changing anything. This is serverless compute because we have a serverless and notebook environment. Just create a task. That's all. Now job is ready, right? One job is created. If you look at here, there is a job is created here. This is the job just now we created, right? Now go back to your Databricks. Let me delete and recreate one more time, but I'm not sure why it is taking too much of time here. Subscription and Databricks and then serverless and test connection and create. Now go to see here we have a job. Just click on job, this job, and how it is possible, even though the test connection is failed, but still the job activity from ADF, this API able to retrieve the jobs from the Databricks. But here, if you look at here, the text connection is failed. But here, you are able to get the created jobs, and also let's give a try of executing this job. What is happening? Just imagine, just look at here. Our expectation, first authentication, then things should populate in the Databricks ADF, then you can select the respective jobs and you can execute. But this case here, the jobs are failed, sorry, the connection string is failed, but you're able to retrieve the jobs and you are able to execute also from here. I'll show you that. Look at here, what is happening this. There is a run. See, this job is executed. We didn't even execute, right? It's executed and succeeded. It's executed and succeeded. The cluster is terminating now. Executed and succeeded. That is see, here it is successfully executed this one. Just look at this, what is executed here. How it is possible? How even it is possible? Like, you know, even now also just go back and test. See. We will discuss this, why this is the behavior. It's a weird behavior, right? No one expect this. First authentication, then things should populate in the ADF, then you can choose and you can execute that respective jobs, and those jobs should be landed in the Databricks compute side and it has to be executed. But here this thing is that authentication is failed, but still you're able to retrieve the jobs listed in the Databricks and you're able to execute without any connection string. Just no one expects this one, right? It's completely violating the rules. We will talk about this one in detail, but this case in the notebook, as I was showing that in the notebook, it is not working. The connection is failing. The notebook also, there's no possibility where I can execute the notebook from the notebook activity. You can try, you give it a try from your end, and do let me know if you have any questions on this. We will discuss in detail in the upcoming videos. Please stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and support me. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.